By 60, the kingdom no longer called him king. It called him legend. Children pointed, soldiers bowed, mothers smiled, and fathers, when storms rolled in, still whispered his name like prayer. The Black Knight, guardian of the North, keeper of the gates, the man who never slept, the man who never failed, the man who never stopped watching. And somewhere beneath layers of blackened steel, beneath scars, beneath silence, beneath 40 winters and promises made by trembling hands, one little boy still stood in front of a door. And no one had noticed he never left. Peace had lasted decades. No war, no wolves, no famine, no graves. Children grew into parents, parents grew into stories, and stories grew into legend. Statues rose in his honor. Songs were written. Banners carried his crest. And everywhere people said, "Nothing bad reaches us here." And every time the old king heard it, he smiled. Because deep down, the little boy still believed it was true. That if he watched hard enough, long enough, loud enough, nothing bad could ever find them. But peace never healed him. It only made his fear look like discipline. And over time, the armor grew darker, heavier, sharper, until even the children stopped hugging him. Not because they feared him, but because steel is cold, and little hands always know. That winter, snow fell early. Soft, quiet, almost familiar. And long after the fires burned low, long after servants slept, long after the queen had grown tired of whispering, "Come to bed," the Black Knight still walked. Torch, steel, hallway, door, window, gate, door, stairwell, door, nursery, door. Again and again and again. Older now, slower, but never stopping. Then, small footsteps, soft, barefoot, behind him. The old king froze, because some sounds never age. He turned, and there, holding a tiny lantern with both hands, stood his granddaughter. 6 years old, cloak far too big. Time, generations. And she smiled proudly and whispered, "Papa Knight," a pause. "I'm helping." And suddenly, 40 years collapsed. The torch fell, hit stone, rolled. And in flickering firelight, the Black Knight saw everything. The hallway, the oak, the tears, the storm, tiny bleeding hands, his mother, the pounding, the promise, the curse. And now, standing in front of him, another little child wearing his armor, learning his fear. His granddaughter smiled and raised the lantern higher. I checked all the doors. Silence. No breath, no movement, only black steel. Then, for the first time in 40 years, the Black Knight fell. Not in battle, not by sword, not by age. To his knees, hard. Steel echoing softly through stone. His granddaughter stepped closer, tiny hand pressing gently against cold black armor. And for the first time in her little life, the strongest man in the kingdom looked tired. Not weak, not broken, just tired. Like someone who spent his entire life holding a door shut. She smiled softly, honestly, and whispered, "Papa Knight," tiny fingers resting against black steel. "Who are you still protecting?" Silence. The old king opened his mouth to answer, but no words came. Only breath, only torchlight, only snow falling quietly beyond ancient glass. Then, a crack. Small, quiet, running slowly across blackened armor. The little girl stepped back, confused. Another crack, then another. Stone creeping softly across ancient steel, up the shoulders, across the chest, along trembling hands that spent 40 winters standing guard. And for the first time since he was 6 years old, the Black Knight finally stopped moving. Still kneeling, still guarding the door. Torchlight flickered across stone, across ancient armor, across the silhouette of a frightened little boy who had spent his entire life standing watch. The granddaughter stared silently, lantern trembling softly in tiny hands. And somewhere deep within black stone, the hallway finally grew quiet. By morning, snow covered the castle walls. Servants whispered, soldiers wept, and children walked silently past the old hallway where a black stone knight still knelt, watching the door. Some called it magic. Others called it a curse. But the queen, who had loved the boy beneath the armor, understood the truth immediately. Some promises are carried so long, they become part of the body. And some children never learn the war is over.